It's Dosanjh from No Finish Sports Media. I'm here with the Savage Prince, live in San Diego at the port. Less than 24 hours from his big fight on ESPN against Alonso Ceja, 12-0, undefeated. You know, we have a lot to talk about. It's been a long trip.
Crazy trip. Lots of crazy things happened, but we got the job done, and we showed that whatever happens outside, you got to focus, you got to lock in, and you got to get the job done no matter what. Nobody cares about, what went on 36 hours prior to the fight. If I lost, they would have still made fun of me. Probably still would have said, oh, he's nothing, right? But you got to go and you got to put in the work. And when you do get a job, like when I finished a guy like that, they're still going to talk something. They're going to say something bad, right? But we got the job done on a big stage, and there's a lot of pressure, and, we delivered.
When you say they, who are you referring to?
It's a lot, like, honestly, especially in Ontario, there's a lot of, like, dry haters and people just negative, very negative. Even from my last fight, kind of downplaying my victories. But for me, I know exactly where I'm going. I know that I'm meant for this big stage. You can, like, these opponents, they're getting better records. We're increasing the competition. And it's not looking like much, but it's because I make them look like not much. Like, I shut them down, and my punches against anybody will do that to them, right? Like, I'm strong at 140, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm getting faster. And now that my confidence is back, a lot of people are in trouble, right? So for anybody that thinks they could, stand those punches, and it's going to be a different outcome, like, come, you'll see what happens.
So, like, a lot of these fighters that you're referring to in Ontario, they're signed to promoters.
Yeah.
You're not signed to a promotion, and you're making all of this happen by yourself. And for those that don't know about boxing, it's not free to fight on these shows. Like, it's not free for these plane tickets. It's not free for the food, for the hotels. Somebody's got to pay for it. And if you're not part of the promotion, it's the fighter. So, you should be very proud of yourself for what you did throughout this trip.
It was the original fight was scheduled for December 16th. Box Azteca, they sold me. It was a different promotion company that sold me on the idea that, okay, I'll be fighting in front of Julio Cesar Chavez. He's a Box Azteca anchor, and it's a huge opportunity, big card. There's other guys in my weight class that'll be the main event, and potentially we could fight them for a title. So when I jumped, I fought just not even 3 weeks ago, and I said, you know what? Like, I was back in the gym on Monday. And when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, okay, I'm still gonna continue training. It's a lifestyle. It's not we don't catch up to, like, the last training camp. We're always progressing. And I said, I'm gonna jump on the opportunity, close out the year with a good win. And the opponent that they presented me originally was 12-0, and I said that's what I want. I saw he was inactive for a little bit, but I also saw that same opponent that I knocked out, he beat a guy who's ranked number 10 in the lower weight divisions now in the world. So he knows how to box. He's good. But so I was ready. I wanted that. That's the opponent that I wanted, and I planned and trained for that in the 3 weeks that we had, right? So on Thursday when I landed, right from the get-go, you were there. Our plane's delayed by 4 hours. The rental car companies, all that, like, crazy issue, and then we come to the hotel and we find out that we have to weigh in quickly, and from there, by the time I got back home, it was like midnight, and they told me, okay, the show has been we added eight fights to the card, and we had to cancel 8 fights on the card, so your fight's one of them. But if you want to fight on this show, you have to fight one of our fighters. And they gave me this one fighter. I didn't know who it was, but I'm like, this is boxing. It's not about, we're professional boxing. We're not amateur boxing anymore. We're not in the business of, I'm going to prove to you that I'm better than you without getting paid for it and without the reward, right? In amateurs, you can fight for free to show that you're the best. In the pros, it's got to make sense for you, your business, and your plan. If you got no plan, then you're going to be one of those guys that are kind of stupid and they're going to go take that fight. But I have a plan, I have a business plan, and it's a solid plan. I have a good network behind me. I have a good, backing, and we're all professionals. So on my team, we said no right away. We're like, we don't know. This is your fighter. What benefit do you have of giving me this fighter that you say I'm going to beat? So we said no. We're not doing it. We don't want it. We don't need it. So then they said, okay, fine. Like, how about you? Since we can't accommodate you for Saturday, how about you fight on our sister promotion, the same opponent that you wanted, but you fight on Friday. So I said, okay, fine. I was pretty pissed off. And you were there. You saw how angry I was. Are we gonna cancel this thing? Are we gonna cancel the trip? But I said, you know what? I'm like, I got a lot of, interest, and we got to keep momentum going. And
momentum was something that you were very, concerned about. Like, we just won the last fight against a 5-0 guy. We're out here in Mexico or in San Diego. We're already here, and you're supposed to fight on Saturday, and then they call you on Thursday saying, no, you're gonna fight on Friday. And you actually said to us, I'm gonna sleep on it. Well, I don't want to lie. I actually told him, you know what, this kind of seems a little shady. I don't think you should fight. But then he said, you know what, I'm going to sleep on it, and Friday morning we're going to decide if I'm fighting or not. And then I woke up to a text saying, we're fighting, let's go.
Yeah, but because, I've been in the experience, man. Like, I've been in the business long enough to know that sometimes if you don't show up, you miss an opportunity. And that just proved that opportunity that we would have missed was an ESPN2 opportunity, right? So I didn't even... They told me ESPN, I didn't believe them. I was like, oh, man, what's going to happen with the stream? That's why we brought you as well, because you record everything, and we need that content, right? And when we got to that stadium, we're like, oh, shit, this is the real deal. And then the pressure was on. So, like, I'm glad I've been working with a sports psychologist, too, Annika Green. Shout out to Annika Green. And she's been helping me since since the first comeback fight. But even the one exercise that we've been working on, it's been helping a lot, just to like really break down, your thought process and what I'm thinking about. So that's what I've been working on to try to get to that elite level. Because right now, I've been boxing 25 years. It's not really about do I have it or not. Everybody knows I have it. All these guys in Ontario that don't like me and they want to talk shit about me, even some of the coaches, they know that the pros that they used to train, even when I was 19 years old, 18 years old, I was kicking their asses in sparring 12 rounds at a time, not getting tired. I try sparring an amateur fighter for 12 rounds here. Now, nobody can keep up 12 rounds with me as an amateur, right? So it's these guys, they don't give credit where it's due. I give credit. When I see another Ontario fighter fighting and I see a big win, I'll share it, I'll comment, because I'm happy. I'm not insecure about my abilities. A lot of these guys in Ontario are insecure about their abilities, and they'll try to hate. They won't like my shit. They won't share it. They'll look. A lot of people watch, but they don't say nothing, right? They don't support, right? But I'm not one of those guys. I know exactly where I'm going. I've never, there's only been a time where I was almost like done with boxing, and that was actually before the comeback. It was in the summer, because originally I was supposed to fight July 2022, and my legs weren't working. I couldn't run. It was a lot of pain when I was running. And I was overweight, and I was like, man, if I can't run, how am I gonna fight? Because you need conditioning. So I was like, I'm done. And I was in my head, I was telling me, yeah, I'm done. I tried. I'm gonna focus on my business. But then September, man, when Tyler, I went to that Rebel show, saw the fight, and I got so pissed off because I'm like, man, I can beat a lot of these guys, man. These guys, man, like, this is supposed to be me there, and then the next day, they said, oh, we got an opponent for you, Dylan Rushton, if you want to fight. Tyler Buxton, shout out to Tyler Buxton. And from there, I was like, Dylan Rushton, I could beat him with one hand normally. This is easy. Like, yeah, let's do it. So I went down from 174 pounds to 140 pounds from September until November 12th. Just basically, I could finally run at the end of that camp, which was like 5 kilometers I ran. But I was boxing, and I think I got myself in shape. Got the weight down. I fought Dylan Rushton. My legs weren't working, but I still beat him. I kicked his ass. Then, finally got the strength coach after that fight, and I started sparring with Adrian Broner because momentum was hot. And then from there, we went February. Fought Cody Kelly. Beat him. From there, I was supposed to go to Dubai, and I had a bunch of other fights with Law Enforcement Network. I was busy with that. And really just expanding my business network and just setting everything up for a big 2024. And we got the fight 3 weeks ago in Rosarito. Won by knockout. Jumped on the opportunity to fight here yesterday. Got the knockout on ESPN 2. And now 2024, if you were surprised of what we can do what we've done in the last 2 fights and before, get ready for 2024 because, hopefully there's no injuries. Inshallah, there's no injuries. Because life is, I'm not one of those kind of guys that's going to say, I'm going to do this anymore, because I've been through life. Life's hit me harder than any opponent has, right? So for me nowadays, I just count my blessings. I'm grateful for every day, and I have a plan, but God has another plan, right? So as long as my plan aligns with God's plan, 2024, get ready because it's gonna be crazy,
So let's go back to fighting on ESPN. There was a moment, and we're gonna post this on his fight vlogs, which are coming out very soon. There was a moment where you're getting your hands wrapped, and you're like, "Man, I can't believe this." When I was a kid, I used to watch ESPN boxing all the time, and you mentioned how DAZN and all these things are new, but ESPN was like the first one. Just talk to me about that nostalgia of just being on there.
Just watch, being there and just realizing, I'm like, holy shit. Because I used to watch a lot of Julio Cesar Chavez fights and other legends too, Salvador Sanchez. I try to copy some things from a lot of other fighters, and I try to put it in my own style, right? But as I remember my hands wrapped, I'm like, holy shit, I'm that guy right now. I'm the guy that I was watching when I was a kid. Because DAZN, I fought on DAZN a few times now. It's new. So when I was growing up watching YouTube clips and stuff, you don't really see DAZN. It would have been great if I could fight on HBO because that's what I grew up with, right? Showtime, I've always grown up with that. But HBO and ESPN were the ones, and I was like, I'm living my dream right now. This is I'm in my dream. And fuck, man. And in Mexico too, because when I was watching these ESPN Deportes, I'm like, holy, they're commentating me, it is unreal.
So, we could go through the fight. Let's just quickly, what was going through your head? Because you're fighting a guy that was 12-0. Yeah. This is no slouch. This is not some guy that's coming in here to lose, overweight. This guy came in ready to, he came to win. Yeah. And, what were the first exchanges like in that fight?
Honestly, so my plan, and it's been the plan for the last few fights. I've been very good at locking in my my focus and my game plan. And early I was like, okay, I want to establish dominance and control and defense. So I came out with the high guard. I showed the high guard. I jabbed, and I said, okay, as long as I can jab when I want to jab this guy, I'm in control. And then my legs, the legs were back, man. I'm so happy that, shout out to my strength coach, Charlie, man, as well, to really, we worked our asses off, especially this summer. Even though there's no fights this summer, we worked, man, since the February fight till the last one as well. And now, the past couple weeks, we've been working so hard on just getting that explosive power in the legs and the mobility and the just the intelligence with the feet, and just getting everything back, the coordination. And man, it was just I was moving, rolling, slipping. You put some slow-mo videos on too, and it was just, now I'm back. And a lot of people are in trouble because when I'm really, especially with those small gloves, and on that stage, it's all about your mental focus and your confidence. It's on that stage at that level, it's 90% mental, 10% physical, right? So if you don't have your mental in check, you're gonna fall apart. Some guys could be better than me, right? They're more technical, stronger, faster, but if their mental focus and their mental strength is not as tough as mine on that stage, I could pick them apart. I'll beat them. And the same goes for me. If my mental focus is not on point, they could beat me, right? But on that level, it makes a huge difference, and that's one thing that made the difference yesterday, right? It was just jab, break down. When I saw I could do what I want, because I was moving a lot, and I was like, hey man, we're in Mexico. They don't like you moving around. Let's go fight this guy. And I started fighting, clipping him and stuff. But then I started hurting him, and then the only thing that stopped my momentum of throwing the punches was when I kept posting him, because he was coming with his head, and I hit him. I dropped him once, and the referee said, hey, it's a slip. Then he warned me, and he warned me about 3 times, and then it just stopped my attack. I was hesitating because I was grabbing, and I was like, I don't want to get disqualified in Mexico. At the end of the day, nobody cares about what happens. When they see a loss on your record, it's a loss, right? So, and he was from Tijuana too, right? So I had to be smart, take my time, and I was just like, okay, start clipping him. And then the hand speed, the combinations, everything was working, man.
Going back to the mental toughness, flights delayed. We can't use our first rental car because it's not allowed to go across the border. Yeah. We finally get to our hotel. within an hour or so of thinking, okay, we have a weigh-in the next morning for a fight on Saturday, you find out there is no fight on Saturday no more. You're fighting on Friday.
Yeah, we had to go get the weigh-in privately. There was no cameras there. We had to do the weigh-in.
Right, and then
Submission.
we have to drive all the way to Tijuana, traffic, border stuff.
Yeah.
Then we finally get to the arena. And then there was a part of you that wasn't convinced even that you were fighting Alonso Ceja. Like, you didn't even think that guy that they showed you on the pictures or whatever, because that's how it works in boxing. Like, it's not like everybody has so much footage of them. If I'm not out here making content for Helmand, you probably wouldn't see his fight unless ESPN posts it. But if ESPN's not posting it, then how else are you going to see his fight, right?
No, it wasn't that.
So all I'm saying, though, is like all that together, right? And you're talking about mental toughness. How did you do it all?
No, you saw like even the guy tripped me out as well in the locker room. He's like, "Oh, I'm second fight." I'm like, "I'm fighting you." I'm like, "No, I'm second fight." And then another guy told me, "Oh no, he's second." It's like, what the hell's going on here? Then I'm like calling the other promoter, and I'm like, "Yo, what the hell's happening?" Just a lot of things, but I was like, okay, just focus on what you can control. Whoever's in front of you, jab, control, post, combinations, go to the body, and that's what we did. You know, it's just people don't understand, man. Most people cannot handle professional boxing because of all the shit that comes with it, right? Like I mean, almost all my pro fights, there was some issues. You know, the first two in Czech Republic, no issues because it was easy, won by knockout. It was the early debuts, right? The third fight that I had was a championship fight for 10 rounds in Czech Republic. I broke my right wrist in the fourth round against a southpaw, but I still boxed 10 rounds. The fourth fight that I had in Canada was a Canadian debut. I was just nervous, and we didn't really have a proper game plan. So I could have stopped my opponent. He was 8-2, pretty dangerous at the time. But I outboxed him. I beat him up, and it was a good performance. But I should have stopped him. The fifth fight in England, bro, horrible scene. When I got to England, I didn't even know if I had a fight. And just, you know, long story short, first round I almost dropped the guy, and I end up almost getting dropped myself. You know, like I was not focused. I was so pissed off. Sixth fight, I broke my thumb in the first round. Seventh fight in China, I already got paid, and then I didn't want to not get paid. Like, I didn't want to return the money because I had a herniated disc, and I didn't even know it was a herniated disc at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to go with the fight. I went with the fight, and I won a decision. And then, you know, you saw what happened. The eighth fight against Rushton, I was coming back from an accident. I couldn't even wear my knee brace. They didn't allow me to wear a knee brace. You know, and the ninth fight, Cody Kelly was trying to survive. But Cody Kelly, that fight, I was not in danger at any time. It was just, he was holding and he was headbutting, but I was in such good shape, I was in control. And then you saw the 10th fight, first round knockout. 11th fight, third round knockout. 12th fight, we'll see. Is it going to be another knockout? I don't know. But I know that from this point on, it's just going to be dominance. You know, like, as I get stronger, which I am getting stronger, as I get faster, which I am, and I'm getting smarter in the ring, more experienced, confidence is going up. As long as the confidence is up, everybody's in trouble. You know, and that's the difference, you know, and yeah.
So last fight in Mexico, or in Rosarito, this fight in Tijuana on ESPN2. I feel like 2023...
2024.
Well, but in 2023, like, you started off with Cody Kelly, and now look where you're at the end of the year. So you've leveled up 100%, right?
Yeah.
Do you fight in Canada again? And if so, like, what arrangements need to be made? Like, what's the deal got to be? What's the split? Like, what's going to make you want to fight in Canada again?
You know, to be honest, it's just in Canada, like fighting in Ontario, the commission's really difficult too, because same day weigh-ins. Like, I'm trying to like learn the technique of water loading and doing the day before weigh-in, rehydrating, because that's what what my competition's doing. You know, if I'm looking at Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, Gervonta, all these guys, they know the tools, they know the tricks of the trade. You know, Devin Haney weighed in at 140 and he's fighting the next day at 165. So I got to learn this trick of their rehydration, right? So we're not going to learn that with same-day weigh-ins in Ontario. Even when they do the day before weigh-in, you can rehydrate to maximum 10 pounds or something, right? It's stupid. We got to be on an even playing field. And to be on an even playing field, you got to get the experience of water loading. You can't do something great if you only do it once whenever it's the biggest fight of your life. It's got to be normal to you, right? So... there's that issue of fighting in Ontario. The other issue is I sell a lot of tickets, so if I'm working with a promoter, they got to give me a better cut than what they're giving now, because I'm not an Ontario, like a normal Ontario fighter. Like, I have an international crowd. I have people that will pay for pay-per-view. I have all around the world. And even though my following on Instagram is not like in the like tens of thousands, I still got good organic following. I got people that don't even use social media that will follow fights, right? And that so far has just been me. Now I have like a pretty solid business team. You've met some people, you've seen some people, you've heard of them, and it's only getting stronger now. And it's just when you have that support, if we're gonna do something in Ontario, it has to make sense, you know. Ontario, like, my fans are the best. I can bring like easy, like hundreds of people. I could probably even bring 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people, with the right team, you know, and the right promotion. So that's the only thing about Ontario. Like, when you look at some venues, it's just empty. It's not no buzz. Like, one fighter has like, I don't know, 50 people in the crowd for him. Another fighter has like maximum 200 people. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, how are you 15, 16 and 0 and you don't have a following of 1,000 people to come see you fight? So there's that issue. And also, like, we gotta bring big names to Ontario. So if I want to fight in Ontario, like, I'll bring somebody big, like call somebody out from the States, an ex-champion or something, or somebody who's a prospect, and fight him, you know, from the US, and just build that international high-profile fight, right? So
when I first met you, the first name that a lot of people said was, oh, they're gonna pair Helmand up with Mark Smithers. Based on what's happened now, you know, what gets you in the ring with Mark Smithers in Ontario? What needs to happen?
To be honest, man, like, before I was kind of making a big deal about Mark Smithers, right? I was like, oh, I gotta fight this guy, I'm gonna do this, but now, I mean, just he's not even on my radar right now. He's become so small in my eyes. It's not really a threat, and that's really bad to say, you know, because like if we do fight, I'm gonna definitely take him seriously. But like right now, it's just, if I'm stressing about Mark Smithers, how the hell am I gonna handle somebody like Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, and, you know, Teofimo Lopez, Richardson, Hitchens, who are the guys that I'm looking at right now, right? That's my goal, to fight one of those guys and beat the shit out of them, right? Why would I be concerned about Mark Smithers? Who's Mark Smithers, right? So yeah, I mean, if we do fight, yeah, I'll beat the shit out of him. But if we don't, he can keep that title, man. Like,
are you the A side in that fight?
I have to be, right? Like, what? How many people does Mark Smithers bring to an arena? Even in Barrie, how many people does he bring? How many people is he bringing to Pickering last time? Right? I know I bring more people than everybody, so that solves that question. When you bring the people, when you bring the buzz, you better get paid, and you're the A side. And like, we can pay Mark Smithers' purse. Can he pay my purse? No, we can't.
So, 2024, how's that looking? Like, what does Helmand see in the future?
Honestly, just no injuries, inshallah, and yeah, just take it one fight at a time. We want to get a busy schedule, but boxing is one of those sports, man. You get cut, you get your hand broken. You know, thank God, man. Yesterday I was really worried about my left hand, because I hit the guy on the top of the head and I caught his elbow a few times. So I was worried about those Cleto Reyes gloves. They're good, but they're so small, and they're super tight. So my left, like the muscle here in my hand was really like sore, but this morning is good. So as long as there's no injuries, man, hopefully I'll get fight like 5 times 2024, maybe 6. We'll see. It just depends on the caliber of opponent, the venue, how big it is. If we do our own show in Ontario, that's another thing. That's something that I want to do. I want to do my own show, or co-promote with the show with somebody. I mean, there's a lot of rumors, man. It's just like some people are going to get this venue, some people are going to get that venue. But yeah, so it's just, we'll see where we go, because there's another big fight that we're planning for January 28th. Can't really say the location yet, but it's not Mexico. But January 28th, big opportunity, big fight. But hopefully we got right now we're looking for more sponsors. We've had some great sponsors already for the last 2 fights and the previous fights, but for the next fight we need some big businesses behind us that are thinking long term, you know, because people don't understand, like, when you're a boxer and you're a professional boxer, everybody wants you to help them when you're famous and when you have that, when your influence is going to make a difference for their business, right? But not a lot of people will support you to get there, right? But they don't understand that if you support me to get there now, and when I do get there, I'm not an asshole. Of course I'm gonna take care of you once I get there. And that's what we need, right? We need some businesses that are looking long term, that, hey, we build this guy up to become a superstar. He's going to help our community. He's going to help our people. He's going to be an inspiration to the younger generation. And in Ontario, there's been nobody that's really fought at that high level and won. There's been a couple guys that got there. Steve Muller was an former two-time world champion. Unfortunately, in that weight division at his time, he didn't get that much of a buzz. But he still made a buzz in Ontario. But on the world stage, there was no... And that's somebody I sparred with. I respect Steve Muller. He taught me a lot of shit. When we sparred when I was 19. But there's other guys that fought at that high level and they came up short. So to have somebody to fight on that stage and win, we do have some good fighters in my weight class too, like one lower, a few other guys that are making a name for themselves. I think they should be a little more vocal and talk a little more shit to get those fights. And have a little more attitude, because that's professional boxing, man. Nobody cares if you're a good fighter. People want to see that personality, right? So everybody knows I got a personality, man. I can talk shit in many languages, and I can. I've seen it. I've seen it. So for me, it's just when I get on that stage, I know it's about more than fighting. Fighting is just the easy part. That's the shit that we've done our whole lives, right? So it's this stuff: the interviews, the talks, the branding, the marketing, the story, right? And my story right now is a beautiful story, even though it was a hard story. Some people, I wouldn't want to wish my story on anybody, man. What I had to go through past couple years, losing my father, losing my brother, getting into the accident, life, business, and all this stuff. Like, it was a crazy storm. But God is great. We survived, and now we're on a path of vengeance to get what we did. I don't want to say get what we deserve, because that sounds entitled, but get what I believe I should have, so that's that path of vengeance,
So last thing I just want to say is, just being around you for these for the first camp against Cody Kelly, that was just my introduction. But, now that I've been to Mexico with you and Rosarito, now we're in San Diego, I just want to say thank you for teaching me what boxing is really about. Because, like I said, if you just watch it on YouTube or on Showtime, they just show you the glitz and the glamour, but they don't show you what really goes on behind the scenes and how it really works, especially if you're not a big name guy, because there's only a handful of big name guys. Everybody else is trying to become that, right? Yeah. And
at this stage, so in the process of trying to become big, you gotta be vigilant, you gotta be aggressive in these scenarios, right? And you gotta win. There's no excuse. Boxing is one of those sports that you cannot have an excuse if you lose. Right, there's a lot of guys. I broke my hand, I lost my fight. Doesn't matter. You lost. It's pros, right? So there's been a lot of times that I should have lost, but I didn't, because I dug down and I bit down on my gum. I had to bite down on my gum shield and come up with a way to win, right? And I'm very lucky too. God is great, man. Just so many scenarios, but we overcame them, and now we got to work. If you thought it was hard before, now it's going to be even harder, because every fight you got to get better ranking, you got to get better opponent, you got to keep learning, you got to keep getting exposure, you got to be entertaining. If I have a boring fight, it's going to bring down the momentum. So it's all that, and with having a more exciting style comes more risk, because you could get knocked out. Yesterday I made a little error as well myself, but hopefully nobody saw that. But I'm okay, I got to correct that for the next fight. I saw that, but hopefully nobody else did. But there's things that you gotta, because I was pressing for the knockout, right? So it's just, boxing is that sport. Back in the day, your favorite champion could lose a bunch of times. Sugar Ray Robinson lost, Jake LaMotta, who else, man? Just Joe Louis lost, right? But people still loved him. Nowadays with this stupid Mayweather era, if your favorite fighter loses, he's a bum, he's shit, he's nothing special, overrated. But they don't understand, professional boxing, when you're fighting another man in the ring with two gloves and basically like fists, especially 8-ounce gloves, the styles make fights. And a better boxer can lose to a shittier boxer on any night if something is wrong, if it's not perfect, right? And no fight scenarios ever is perfect. You just have to kind of put everything together to make it work for you. And you could lose, right? But nowadays it's people take that risk of losing and they put it with the fights, and they're okay, I'm gonna avoid this guy because I don't want to lose, because he's gonna mess up my story, but I'll fight this guy because I know I can win. and that's how the business has shifted. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to like fight the best, but also keep in mind that we still we've got a plan. We want to get to here, and so fighting here and getting that, you know, prove having a piston contest to prove that I'm the best for somebody that doesn't really matter. It's not worth it. Business wise, we have to make sure that we're making the right moves for the business, because you see me, I fight, I train, I bust my ass off, but I have a whole team behind me. It's a business. Everybody part of my team, it's all their interest as well. So if I do something that's not in the best interest of the business, I'm letting down a whole bunch of people. So I can't do that, you know.
So if you look behind us, we got a beautiful scenery. The weather has been great in San Diego. Anything you want to say about the city?
Oh man, San Diego! I love San Diego. We were actually supposed to go to House of Boxing earlier today, but it was closed. Yeah, I wouldn't mind even moving my camps here to San Diego, but we're still looking around, shopping around. There's a lot of cities that, you know, we might go to LA, might go to Miami as well for a visit. But the weather in San Diego, it's like this all year round apparently. In the summer, it's like really hot, but beautiful weather, beautiful city, just chill vibes. Amazing. I love San Diego. I mean, you saw last night when we went. I was just, yeah, beautiful place.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the support. And by the way, for a lot of boxers watching, that was free game right there, man. Next time I'm gonna charge all of you guys. Charge all of you guys, man.
No finish.